Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited. Isis, All That Glitters. The goddess next door takes on a bikini-clad bank robber in this action-packed all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, All That Glitters in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Yesterday, Facebook banned Minister Louis Farrakhan off of its platforms of its Facebook social media network and its Instagram, saying that your Minister Louis Farrakhan is dangerous. And with this reactionary ban, your Facebook shows how emotionally involved it is regarding politics and how emotional they are regarding the influence of certain people on social media. Now, the reason why Facebook says it banned your Minister Louis Farrakhan was because he was considered quote-unquote dangerous. However, the reason why they went out here and banned him for being quote-unquote dangerous shows how emotional your Facebook is, because they called your Minister Louis Farrakhan a right-wing person who was dangerous. And everybody knows that your Minister Louis Farrakhan is not a right-wing individual. And that can be shown from the pictures he took with your representatives like your Maxine Waters and your former President Barack Obama. So if he's taking pictures with quote, Democratic candidates, how can he be a right-wing individual? And that shows how emotional Mark Zuckerberg is and how emotional the executives at Facebook are, and how they are so caught up in their feelings regarding the 2020 presidential election that they don't see how they're going out of their way to alienate an individual or group of individuals to try to change the outcome of that election so that it can benefit the Democratic Party. Because what all of these bans are all about is trying to find a way to persuade people to vote for the Democratic Party and vote for Democratic candidates by trying to censor people who have conservative viewpoints and conservative ideas. And by doing this, what they are doing is proving to everyone why they should not vote for the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party has not presented an argument to the world of why we need to not vote for Donald Trump. Because trying to censor the other opposing view is not a way to persuade people to vote for your view, because you have not shown what you are going to offer people in terms of how you are going to make the country better. Because while I have my misgivings about your Donald Trump, when it comes down to your Donald Trump, he is not trying to take away Americans' rights that they were guaranteed under the First Amendment of the Constitution, and he is not trying to censor platforms where people can express their freedom of speech. Say what you want about your Donald Trump. He has not made any efforts to go after anyone's freedom of speech or freedom of expression. However, these Silicon Valley executives, like your Mark Zuckerberg, they are so upset about the outcome of the 2016 election that they want to try to stack the deck to fix the 2020 election, believing that they can persuade people to vote for Democratic candidates without presenting an argument to how they are going to fix the American economy or how they are going to set a course for the country. Now, they went out of their way to ban these conservative voices. However, what they don't see is this is just not going to work, because when it comes down to the demographics of the United States of America, banning someone like Louis Farrakhan does not have any direct impact on the largest population of voters. And this is where your Mark Zuckerberg and the executives of Facebook are making a huge mistake, because the largest block of American voters, they are not really fazed by your Alex Jones, your Paul Joseph Watson, or many of the other conservative voices out there who have been making their videos, because when it comes down to the largest block of voters, which is white women and Hispanic women, those blocks of voters did not vote for Donald Trump based on anything those conservative voices ever said. Now, when it came down to that large block of white female voters, they don't see these men who are making these points as dangerous, because their reasons for voting had nothing to do with anything these guys said at all. Because when it came down to white women and your Hispanic women, their reasons for voting for Trump had to do with female nature. And when it comes down to female nature, women are naturally hypergamous. And because women are naturally hypergamous, they are going to vote for the person who they believe is going to make their environment secure. And when it came down to your Donald Trump, he represented many of the things that would give them security. And because he was a rich billionaire, which is something that appealed to white women, and he had access to lots of resources, and he had proven success in the past as related to his financial empire, this is what made your Donald Trump attractive to white women, even though he said he could grab them by the private parts. They didn't care about him making such a crass statement, because they were going to benefit from economic security. And that is the main reason why white women and Hispanic women went to vote for your Donald Trump in large numbers. And what your Facebook thinks it can do is try to sway those white women, because if they believe they can silence the voices of people like Minister Farrakhan, like your Paul Joseph Watson, like your Milo Yiannopoulos, and your Alex Jones, they believe they can then control the media by putting their voices on those platform stages and persuade white women to vote for a Democratic candidate. However, what is going to happen is whenever you try to persuade women like that, it just backfires on you, because it's similar to what the nice guy tries to do when he sees the woman he wants to get involved with still in love with the jerk. He will sit there and try to keep telling that woman that this guy is a jerk, and however, what that does is make that guy appear even more attractive to her, because she's getting more attention from him speaking bad about that jerk, and that makes him even more appealing to those females out there. And that's what your Mark Zuckerberg and many of the people on the left don't understand. In their efforts to try to turn people against Donald Trump, all they're doing is making him appear to be more attractive in comparison to that large voting block of women voters. Because when you tell a woman somebody is bad, all that does is make them want that man even more. And what your white women and your Hispanic women and women in general, they want Donald Trump more because they see the actions of these people on the left trying to make these people appear to be dangerous, not understanding that when you make somebody appear to be dangerous, you make them appear to be more attractive to women. Because in the case of your Pookies and your Ray Rays, your Pookies and your Ray Rays will continue to appear to be more attractive, because the more you speak bad about them, the more desirable they become in comparison. And all your Mark Zuckerberg is doing is making President Pookie appear to be more attractive, trying to use this nice guy approach by banning these individuals, because what he wants to do is ban these individuals off his platform because he does not agree with their political message, when the smart thing to do really is to let those guys stay on that platform and say that you are going to stand for the First Amendment, and let those people talk themselves into a hole. But because you're Mark Zuckerberg and the people at Facebook are too emotional, they can't see how they are shooting themselves right in the foot and undermining the Democrats' 2020 chances by going out here and making things more hostile by banning people like the Minister Louis Farrakhan. Because when you banned the Minister Louis Farrakhan, it showed that they were approaching things from an emotional perspective. And instead of them going out here and turning white women away from your Donald Trump and his platform, what they've done is turn this into an argument about the First Amendment, freedom of speech, and freedom of expression online. And I believe in the long term, what they have done is start the beginning of the beginning of the end of Facebook. Because if people cannot go on this open platform to express themselves, then what they're going to do is start making efforts to abandon that platform. And what your Mark Zuckerberg doesn't understand is that when it comes down to these social media platforms, they come and they go. And the reason why they come and they go is because when people cannot feel like they can express themselves freely on those platforms, what they do is migrate to another platform. And there are emerging platforms out there, and people are going to find their way to them, like yourminds.com and many other platforms. And what's going to happen is those people are going to go over to those platforms to express their views, and your Facebook is going to go the way of MySpace, because when you start talking about banning individuals, that's when people start making efforts to walk away from your platform. Because no social media platform out here is that big that it can't fall. And all you have to do is take a critical look at MySpace to see what happens when a platform falls completely into the ground. Because MySpace at one time was bigger than Facebook. And then once MySpace got owned by News Corp, News Corp then implemented 2.0, which allowed spammers, trolls, attention whores, and radical people on the left and the right to come to MySpace, and people left MySpace, and MySpace wound up falling into a grave. And that's what I believe is going to happen to Facebook in 2020, because when I take a critical look at what they're doing right now, trying to ban people for being quote-unquote dangerous, the great irony is they don't see the danger they're doing to themselves. Because when you go out here and censor people for coming on a social network where they are trying to be social and express their views, you have started to put one foot in the grave and another on a banana peel. And the banning of these individuals, it is a slippery slope. And the whole thing is, yes, there is a First Amendment violation here, but I see the free market getting ready to put the nail in the coffin for Facebook, because when it comes down to these internet companies, all it takes for them to do is start censoring people, and those people, what they are going to do is choose an alternative, and they're going to migrate to that alternative. Because in 2010, we saw this happen with MySpace, And I believe in 2020 we may see this happen with Facebook, because when it comes down to the internet is fluid, and because it is fluid, what happens is when one company starts to think that it is too big and can do whatever it pleases, people go over to another competitor and they then go use their services instead. So I believe that we are in the last days of Facebook, and those last days of Facebook are because your Facebook thought it could go out here and try to control people and what they think, what they say, and even try to influence people. And when you try to influence people on the World Wide Web, the people of the World Wide Web then choose not to use your services. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon or my PayPal by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct publications, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.